The wedding had over 200 guests. 6 months of planning. 2 powerful families. Everything exactly the way it was supposed to be. And then, I can't do this. The room went silent. Park Ji-soo stood before him in a white dress that had taken 6 months to choose. Her face didn't break, but her eyes did something. "Kong-in," she said quietly. "Not here." "I know what you did," he said. "I know about the hospital. I know what you did to her. All of it." Something moved across Ji-soo's face. "It's because of her," she said, her voice dropping lower. "I knew it. From the moment you started looking different, I knew there was someone. It's because of her, isn't it?" "It's because of you," he said quietly. "Because of who you showed me you were." The silence that followed was the loudest thing anyone in that room had ever sat inside. And if you think this ends like a normal wedding, leave a like. Because what happened next, no one in that room was ready for it. 8 months before that wedding, Nia James was not thinking about anyone. She was a trauma surgeon at the city's most demanding hospital. 28, the kind of doctor who made decisions in the time it took other people to understand the question. Who had been in operating rooms at 3 a.m. with someone's life literally in her hands and come out the other side still standing. Still sharp. Still herself. She had built everything she had herself. Years of work. No shortcuts. No safety nets. The kind of discipline that leaves no space for distractions. She wasn't looking for anyone. She barely had time to look for her keys most mornings. It was a Thursday night. Late. A man came into her trauma bay unconscious. Severe internal bleeding. No identification. No next of kin contact. Just a body that needed saving and about 11 minutes to save it in. She saved him. For hours later, she was at the nurse's station writing up her notes when a voice behind her said, "Dr. James." She turned. Korean man. Early 30s. Dark suit. A face so completely still it stopped her for just a second. Not the stillness of someone calm, but the stillness of someone who had decided a long time ago that the world did not get to see what was happening inside him. "The man you just saved," he said. "He works for me." 2 nurses nearby went quiet. Not because of what he said, but because of who he was. People like him didn't wait in hospitals. Things moved for them. And yet, he was standing here. Waiting. "He's stable," she said. 6 weeks recovery minimum. "I know," he said. "I watched the Bay footage. You made 3 decisions in the first 90 seconds that most surgeons wouldn't have made until minute 4. She looked at him. "You watched the Bay footage." "I wanted to understand who saved his life," he said simply. "And? I'd like to buy you coffee," he said. "If you're finished here." She looked at him for a long moment. "I finish in 40 minutes, she said. "I'll wait," he said. He did. Exactly where she had left him. Which told her something about him before she had learned anything else. He was not what she expected. Not louder than his stillness suggested. Not harder. Not the things she had quietly prepared herself for once she understood what he did and who he was in the world he moved through. He was precise. Thoughtful. The kind of man who listened more than he spoke, and when he spoke said exactly what he meant without decoration or performance or the particular vanity of men who are used to being the most important person in every room. "You don't perform," he told her one evening. They were at dinner, the third one, the one where the conversation had stopped being careful and started being real. "Most people perform. You just are." "Is that a compliment?" she said. "It's the most accurate thing I know how to say about you," he said. She looked at him for a moment. "You're very literal." "I find it saves time," he said. She almost laughed. "Does it?" "With most people," he said. "You're the first person who has made me wish I had more time to waste." She laughed then. He went very still, like he was memorizing the sound of it. "What?" she said. "Nothing," he said. But something had moved across his face. Something brief and unguarded that she filed away carefully because she had the feeling it didn't happen often. Over 3 months they built something quietly. Not announced. Not rushed. Just real, in the specific way that things are real when 2 people are too honest to pretend and too busy to perform. He showed up in the specific ways that told her he had been paying attention to who she actually was. The book she mentioned once that appeared on her doorstep 3 days later. The restaurant she had said in passing she'd always wanted to try, booked for a Friday without announcement. Small things. Chosen precisely. She found herself doing things she hadn't done in a long time. Thinking about a conversation before it happened. Noticing what she was wearing. Looking forward to something the way she used to before work took up all the space that looking forward required. He made her want to be known. And she had not wanted that in a very long time. He was going to end the engagement. That is the thing that needs to be understood before anything else. He had been going to end it for 3 weeks before any of what came next. He had been building toward it in the way he built toward everything carefully, with certainty, making sure the decision was complete before he acted on it. Because the engagement to Jisoo was not his. Not really. It had been arranged the way things in his world were often arranged, through the right families, the right connections, the right logic on paper. His mother had suggested it. His advisors had confirmed it made sense. Jisoo was from the right world. Understood the right things. Would say the right things at the right tables. He had said yes because he had not yet understood what saying yes to the wrong thing cost. He and Jisoo functioned. They appeared at the right events. Said the right things to the right people. She never asked him questions he didn't want to answer, and he never offered anything beyond what was required. It was a life on paper. A commitment made between two people who had never once looked at each other the way he had looked at Nia across a dinner table when she said something that surprised him. Nia was the first thing in a long time that felt like something actually his. He was going to end the engagement. He had been 3 weeks away from saying it out loud. He never got there. Because before he could say what he had been building toward, Nia stopped answering his calls. A passing comment from a colleague who assumed she already knew. Isn't that the man you've been seeing? I saw the engagement announcement. 6 months ago apparently. Park Jisoo, they're all over the society pages. Oh, her colleague stopped. Read her face. You didn't know. No, Nia said quietly. I didn't know. She went home that evening and sat in her apartment for a long time. Not crying. Not calling anyone. Just sitting with the specific weight of finding out that something she had been carefully, quietly building had been built on ground that belonged to someone else. She thought about every conversation. Every evening. Every moment she had felt something opening in her and now understood had been happening in a context she hadn't been told about. She turned her phone over. For missed calls. His name. She didn't answer. On the 4th day she picked up. You were engaged, she said. No preamble. Silence. Yes, he said. For 6 months. Yes. While we were. Yes. She was quiet for a long moment. Don't call me again, she said. She hung up. She meant it. But what Nia didn't know yet was that someone else had been watching her for months. And she had already decided what to do about it. Park Jisoo had known about Nia James for 4 months. Not from Kongmin. He had said nothing. But Jisoo had not built her position in his world by waiting for people to tell her things. She found out the way she found out everything quietly, through the right people, without leaving a trace of the asking. She watched. She assessed. She understood exactly what she was looking at. And she decided to handle it. She started with a formal complaint filed with the hospital board. Anonymous. Questioning the judgment calls made in a specific surgery. The complaint was found baseless after a 2-week investigation, but 2 weeks of being reviewed, questioned, and watched by colleagues who hadn't been watching her before was 2 weeks of Nia's professional life being put under a lens it didn't deserve. Nia said nothing. Went to work every day. Did her job with the same precision she always brought to it and said nothing to anyone. And then Jisoo made a mistake. She decided to handle it publicly. Then Jisoo walked into the hospital. 6 weeks before the wedding. Lunchtime. She arrived dressed perfectly, the specific kind of perfect that announces itself, and found Nia in the hospital cafeteria, surrounded by colleagues eating between shifts. She introduced herself. Loudly enough for the surrounding tables to hear. Dr. James. I'm Park Jisoo. I believe you know my fiancé. The table went quiet. Nia looked at her steadily. Said nothing. I think you should know, Jisoo said, voice clear, pleasant, carrying easily, that whatever you think was happening, it wasn't. Men like Kongin don't leave their world for someone like you. They get curious. They explore. And then they come home. She smiled. You should be more careful about whose time you waste. And whose life you insert yourself into uninvited. Nia looked at her for one long moment. Then she picked up her tray. Stood up. She was done. She had said nothing. She was not going to say anything. She was simply going to pick up her tray and walk away from this woman and this conversation and everything attached to it. She turned toward her table. Jisoo grabbed her arm. Pulled her back. The tray went to the floor. Food. Cutlery. The specific crash of something hitting hard floor in a room that had already gone quiet and was now absolutely silent. Every person in that cafeteria was looking. Jisoo looked at her. I'm not done talking, she said. Nia looked down at her tray on the floor. Then she looked up at Jisoo slowly. Excuse me, she said. Not loud. Not shaking. The specific quiet of a woman who has just crossed from composure into something that composure is not big enough to contain. You don't walk away from me, Jisoo said. You just put your hands on me, Nia said. Quietly. Clearly. Loud enough for every person still watching. In my hospital. In front of my colleagues. I came here to make something clear. You grabbed me, Nia said. You physically grabbed me and knocked my food to the floor in the middle of my workplace. A pause. I don't know what you thought was going to happen here today, but you just assaulted me in a room full of witnesses. Jisoo's composure held. Barely. You need to understand your place. Security, one of the cafeteria staff called. 2 hospital security officers appeared within 30 seconds. Ma'am, one of them said to Jisoo firmly. I'm going to need you to come with us. Jisoo looked at Nia one final time. The specific look of a woman who has lost control of a situation she had planned very carefully and cannot fully accept it. Then she straightened, smoothed her dress, and walked out with the security officers with the composure of a woman deciding the story of this moment on her own terms regardless of what had actually happened in it. The cafeteria remained completely silent for a long moment after she left. Nia looked at the food on the floor. Then she crouched down and started picking up what she could. A colleague knelt beside her immediately. Then another. Then 3 more. Nobody said anything. They just helped. In the corner of the cafeteria, at a small table where he had been eating alone, a security officer assigned to the hospital wing where one of Kangmin's men was still recovering had watched every single second of it. He filed a report before he left that day. He didn't know if it was relevant. He just knew that what he had watched happen to the doctor who had saved his boss's man did not sit right with him. The report landed on Cho Sung-hoon's desk the next morning. Sung-hoon read it. Then he went to the hospital and pulled the security footage himself. Then he sat with what he had for 3 days, because what he had was not a small thing, and he understood exactly what bringing it to Kong in 3 days before his wedding was going to mean. On the 3rd day, he walked into Kangmin's office in the late evening with a tablet in his hand, and an expression Kangmin had not seen on his face in 10 years of working together. I need you to watch something, Sung-hoon said. What is it? Kangmin said. Please just watch it, Sung-hoon said. Kangmin watched it. The cafeteria. All of it. Jisoo walking in. Finding Nia. Every word. The tray. The grab. The crash. Nia crouching on the floor picking up her food while colleagues knelt silently beside her. Security walking Jisoo out. Then Sung-hoon showed him the rest. The complaint filing. For months assembled in order. Kangmin watched all of it without moving. Without speaking. When it finished, the room was very quiet. How long have you had this? Kangmin said. 3 days, Sung-hoon said. Why did you wait? Because I needed to be certain, Sung-hoon said. And because I knew what it would cost you, and I wanted to be sure before I put that in front of you. Kangmin looked at the frozen last frame. Nia crouched on the cafeteria floor. 3 colleagues beside her. Nobody speaking. Just helping. He stood up. Where are you going? Sung-hoon said. To find her, Kangmin said. She opened the door and looked at him. He was still in his work clothes. Something slightly undone about him, like a man who had been sitting with something heavy for hours and had come to her door because there was nowhere else the weight was going to lift. I told you not to call, she said. You did, he said. I came in person instead. She looked at him for a moment. Then she stepped back. He came in. He told her everything. The report. The footage. The complaint. The cafeteria. All of it in the order it happened. She listened without interrupting. When he finished, she was quiet for a long time. She grabbed me, Nia said finally. Not loudly. Just saying it out loud to hear how it sounded. She walked into my hospital and grabbed me and knocked my food to the floor in front of my colleagues. Yes, he said. She looked at him. And you're getting married to her in 3 days. I was, he said. Was. I was going to end it, he said. Before the footage. Before Sunghoon walked into my office. I was 3 weeks away from saying it out loud. Because it was never right. I said yes to something that made sense on paper and spent 6 months understanding that sense on paper is not the same as something that is actually yours. He paused. And then I met you. And I understood the difference. I'm not asking you to call off a wedding for me, she said. I'm not that person. I know, he said. I'm not here asking you for anything. I'm here because you spent 4 months going to work every day while someone tried to quietly take that work from you and you said nothing to anyone. Then she walked in and put her hands on you in front of your colleagues and you still said nothing. He looked at her directly. That happened because of me. And I'm sorry. She held his gaze for a long moment. Go handle your wedding, she said finally. Come find me after. If you still want to. I'll want to, he said. Then we'll see, she said. She opened the door. He left. By the time the wedding day arrived, Kangmin already knew everything. Jisoo just didn't know that yet. The venue was extraordinary. Kangmin stood at the altar in a dark suit and white shirt with the face he always wore, still, controlled, unreadable to most people in that room. Cho Sunghoon stood near the back. He had said nothing to anyone. He had watched his boss get dressed and get into the car, and he had said nothing because Kangmin had made his decision. Sunghoon's job was to be present for what came next. The doors opened. Park Jisoo appeared at the far end of the aisle. White dress. Perfect. She walked with the composure of a woman who had removed every obstacle between herself and this moment and was now simply collecting what she had earned. Her eyes found Kangmin immediately and stayed there, the specific focus of a woman who has been planning this walk for 6 months and is not going to be distracted from it now. The room exhaled with pleasure. She reached the altar. Stood before him. The officiant began. Kangmin looked at her. She looked back. And she saw it. In the first second. Because she knew his face, had studied it for 18 months, and this was not the face of a man getting married. This was something else. This was decided. Her composure held. Just barely. I can't do this, he said. Not loudly. The way he said everything that mattered quietly, directly, without decoration. The room went completely silent. Not a breath. Not a movement. 12 rows of people in their finest who had come to watch a wedding and were now watching something else entirely. Kangmin, she said. Her voice low and controlled. Not here. Not like this. Whatever you think. I know what you did, he said. The complaint you filed against her. The cafeteria. I saw the footage, Jisoo. All of it. Something cracked in her composure then. Something that had been holding for 6 months. It's because of her, she said. Her voice dropping, but still carrying to the first few rows. I knew it. From the moment you started being somewhere else, even when you were standing right in front of me. It's because of her, isn't it? It's because of you, he said. Because of who you showed me you were. I was protecting what was mine. She was not a threat to you. Sunghoon followed without being asked. Behind them the room stayed completely silent for a long moment. Then Jisoo turned. Walked back down the aisle herself. Head up. Composure almost fully reassembled. The face of a woman who had lost something and was already deciding the story of how it happened. But her hands at her sides, where nobody could see them, were shaking. She had told him to go handle his wedding. She had meant it. She went to work. Did her shift. Saved 2 lives and lost 1 and sat in the break room afterward with cold coffee and the particular heaviness of a day that had asked everything of her. She came home. Sat in her apartment in the quiet of a woman who had been through something and was deciding honestly what she wanted on the other side of it. She had feelings for him. She was not going to pretend otherwise. 3 months of something real does not disappear because it became complicated. Feelings are not that cooperative. But she knew something about herself. She did not want to be chosen because something else fell apart. She did not want to be the thing a man arrived at after the thing he had chosen first fell apart. She wanted to be chosen deliberately. Specifically. As the point, not the landing place. Her phone buzzed. For words. It's done. I'm coming. She sat with it for a long moment. Then typed back 2 words. Okay. She put the phone down. And waited. He knocked twice. She opened the door. Still in his wedding suit. Tie loosened. The face of a man who had done something large and was standing on the other side of it, still deciding how it felt. You're still in your wedding suit, she said. I came straight here, he said. You could have changed. I didn't want to wait, he said. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she stepped back. He came in. Sat down. She sat across from him. The apartment quiet around them. The city outside moving the way it always moved, indifferent, continuous, unaware that anything had shifted. I need you to know something, he said. I didn't end it because of what she did to you. I ended it because it was never right. Because I said yes to something that made sense on paper and spent 6 months understanding that sense on paper is not enough. He looked at her directly. And then I met you. And I understood what enough actually felt like. I don't want to be chosen because a wedding fell apart, she said. You're not, he said. I was going to end it before the footage. Before Sung-hoon walked into my office 3 days ago. I was 3 weeks away from saying it out loud. A pause. What she did to you, that didn't make me choose you. It just made it impossible to stay quiet any longer. She looked at him. You said you were going to end it, she said. Before all of this. Yes, he said. Why didn't you? He was quiet for a moment. Because you stopped answering my calls, he said. And I thought maybe you had decided. That I had waited too long and you had decided, and I didn't have the right to show up at your door and ask you to wait for something I hadn't been brave enough to say out loud yet. She looked at him for a long time. You should have said it out loud, she said. Yes, he said. I should have. A long time ago. She was quiet. The apartment was quiet. Ask me properly, she said finally. He looked at her. Nia, he said. Will you let me start again? Properly. With nothing hidden. Nothing careful. Just this. She looked at him for one long moment. Yes, she said simply. He almost smiled. She almost smiled back. Then she said, you really did come straight here. I told you I would want to, he said. I know, she said. She looked at him in his slightly rumpled wedding suit sitting in her apartment at whatever hour this was. I didn't think you meant immediately. I meant immediately, he said. She looked at him for a moment. Then she laughed. Really laughed. The unguarded full kind that came from somewhere real. And he went very still the way he always did when she did that. Like he was memorizing it. Like he intended to be in rooms where that sound happened for a very long time. Go home and change, she said. Come back. You're sending me away, he said. I'm sending you to change your clothes, she said. There's a difference. Is there? Go home, Kong-in, she said. But she was still almost smiling. He stood up. Looked at her one more time in the way he sometimes looked at her, without the stillness, without the controlled distance. Just directly. Like she was the only thing in the frame worth looking at. I'll be back in 40 minutes, he said. I know, she said. He left. She stood in the middle of her apartment alone for a moment. Then she went to make tea. And for the first time in a long time, she was not making it for one. When he walked out of that wedding. You felt it, didn't you? Because everyone in that room did. And Jisoo? Her hands were shaking for a reason. Comment below, did she deserve it? Like and subscribe for more stories like this. Thank you for watching, we'll be seeing ya.